basically Arakchi or IRGC spokesperson could have said everything word by word that you just said. You're just reading off Iranian propaganda talking points. I don't know, you call yourself
Oh my
American, you
gosh.
call
All
yourself
right.
something in favor of the...
Bro.
A fascinating clash unfolded on Piers Morgan Uncensored between two very different camps. On one side, Lieutenant Colonel Jonathan Conricus and Goldie Ghamari argued that Iran has been severely weakened and that Israel's actions were necessary for its survival. On the other side, Piers Morgan and Wajahat Ali argued that the regime remains intact, the promised uprising never happened, and that Trump's strategy may have failed to achieve its objectives. Watch the debate and let me know in the comments who made the stronger case.
I want to remind everyone about 3.5 months ago, Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu decided to launch this illegal, unconstitutional war with Iran. They have since done what? They've done a regime change. So what have they done, Piers? They replaced the older dying Khamenei with a younger, more militant Khamenei. The Strait of Hormuz, which was open, is now closed. Iran, especially with this young guard coming up, is flexing its power. Iran has actually emerged in a way much stronger. Our allies are abandoning us because they see us as weak. The United States of America couldn't use its military might to force Iran to open up the Strait of Hormuz. Instead, many of our allies are going to what? China, to look for a stable partner. Thousands of people have died, 4,000 Iranians, 4,000 Lebanese people. Israel is occupying Lebanon right now, has ethnically cleansed about 1 million Lebanese people. Every single month that this war has gone on, a majority of Americans, including his base, including young Republicans, say, why are we in this war and why are we giving this money to Israel? If Trump was smart, what he'd say is the following: Israel, you do what you want. We don't have your back. We're not going to defend you. We're not going to use our munitions. You take on Iran by itself. And I guarantee you, if Donald Trump finally cuts off Netanyahu, Israel will back away. It'll probably take 1 week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, but it will. And that's in the best interest of the United States and Trump, who's negative double digits on this issue.
Now, here's the thing. The Islamic regime is slowly collapsing internally. You know, I hear some people talking about how there's like this new, stronger, more, hardliner Ayatollah. Where is he? Why haven't we seen him? Why hasn't he put out a video or a voice message or anything like that? The reality is the Islamic regime is scared. They're scrambling. And right now, President Trump is really putting their feet to the fire because I have seen and shared footage from inside.
Really?
Yeah,
Goldie?
absolutely. Well,
Really?
did you know that the supporters of these...
Where is the evidence? Where is the evidence this regime does not maintain a completely tight grip over the country and the people? There hasn't been any uprising of any kind by the Iranian people since the start of this war. That does not suggest to me a regime that is collapsing from within. That was the promise that Netanyahu and the head of Mossad made. Well, hang on. Let me finish. Let me finish. That was the promise made in the White House Situation Room by Benjamin Netanyahu and the head of Mossad, was that there would be a dismantling of the leadership. The IRGC would collapse from within, the people would rise up, and that would be how this played out. None of that's happened. That's what I mean by a reality check. And far from unconditional surrender of the kind Donald Trump wanted, we're way away from unconditional surrender.
Supporters of the Islamic regime are actually chanting death to Arakchi and death to Ghalibaf because they are angry at the possibility of the Islamic regime signing a peace deal with the great Satan. So that's number one. Number two, when it comes to this, the Iranian people rising up, Iranians have made it very clear. Our leader is His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince of Iran, Reza Pahlavi. Reza Pahlavi has said very clearly that when the conditions are right, he will make the call, he will issue the call, and the Iranian people at that point will rise up. He has not issued that call yet. And so anyone who's out there saying, well, the war has failed because the Iranian people haven't risen up, they don't know what they're talking about, because you have to look at the Iranian angle here. The Iranian people listened to His Royal Highness Reza Pahlavi. We already know that on January 8 and 9, when they went out, they were massacred. Over 40,000 innocent, unarmed Iranians were slaughtered. Anyone who thinks that Iranians will once again go out while they are unarmed, while the Islamic regime is still a little bit in control and still has the weapons and still brings in their proxy terrorist groups like Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, and others, Hashd al-Shabi, to murder Iranians, if you think Iranians are going to rise up right now when the conditions aren't right, You know nothing about Iran. So that's why Iranians haven't risen up, because His Royal Highness Reza Pahlavi has not issued the call yet. It has nothing to do with Israel, nothing to do with America. Ultimately, Iranians have been fighting for freedom for 47 years. We will overthrow the Islamic regime with or without international help. That's all there is to it.
Donald Trump's biggest mistake. His
You're
biggest
the one who's
mistake was
living in
being
a
dog
fantasy
walked
land. You're
by
not even
Benjamin
Iranian.
Netanyahu.
I would suggest you don't speak
Just,
about the Iranian people and how they view His Royal
I,
Highness. You're not Iranian. You have no idea what you're talking about. You have no idea what people in Iran think or say.
I'm wonderful. Okay, thank you. I appreciate your alternative take on history. Let me just respond. Back in reality, Donald Trump's biggest mistake was he allowed himself to be dog-walked by Benjamin Netanyahu. He pulled out of the JCPOA. If he had just stuck with it, Piers, if he had just stuck with it, Iran would be weaker right now. The regime would actually be much more compliant. There would be much more transparency. It'd be less dangerous. He blew it up. Why? Because Netanyahu said, blow it up. So he did. Then he made the mistake last year of joining Israel in its 12-day war. And Donald Trump then bragged about destroying Iran's nuclear capabilities. He degraded it, didn't destroy it. The biggest mistake was that Donald Trump did something that no president has done in 47 years. He actually followed Netanyahu and Israel into this regime change, this illegal, unconstitutional war. We should not forget about the fact that Israel has killed so many people. Israel still occupies Lebanon. Israel still occupies Gaza. Israel still occupies Syria. And it's so interesting that Naftali Bennett comes on here and says, well, Israel has a right to defend itself. What about Palestinians? What about the Lebanese? What about the Syrians? What about Iranians? Because last time I checked, the United States and Israel were the ones who unilaterally started this war, assassinated Khamenei. And furthermore, 4,000
IRGC. You don't speak for us, Iranians.
No, I know, yes.
Regime is being attacked.
Sure, I'm sure you are grateful.
Do not conflate Iranians.
I'm sure you are grateful.
We are not one and the same. Do not conflate Iran.
4,000 Iranians have been killed, and 1 million Lebanese people have been displaced.
Over 40,000.
I was against the regime. I was against it. And the regime.
It's like everything is blame Israel.
He didn't get the talking points from Arakchi. Arakchi didn't send him the talking points, which he so effectively has been riling off. I mean, basically, Arakchi or IRGC spokesperson could have said everything word by word that you just said. You're just reading off Iranian propaganda talking points. I don't know. You call yourself American. You call yourself something in favor of the US.
Listen, the game has changed.
After the other.
No one believes.
No one believes
Israel.
Not accurate. Many of them not accurate. I don't think
the problem. Okay, Jonathan.
Many of them weren't.
Jonathan, the problem, Jonathan, the problem is a lot of the Iranian talking points, as you put it, are demonstrably true, right? In the sense that they do control the Strait of Hormuz. The regime is still intact. The Ayatollah's dead, but his son has replaced him. And although we haven't seen him, we've had statements come from him, and he is believed to still be alive. Albeit wounded. We'll see. I mean, time will tell. But we've also seen Iran attack its neighbors in the Gulf with impunity, which has caused enormous damage there. So this idea, and, I totally agree with Wajahat, there's been a lot of damage militarily to Iran's Navy and Air Force and so on. That's indisputable. But what's also indisputable, Jonathan, is that there's been an asymmetric war battle through the Strait of Hormuz and the control of global energy and all the economic damage that causes. And it's been very effective. And the Iranians know that. So, my concern about this is not a defensive Iran. I think the Iranian regime is despicable and has oppressed its people for nearly 50 years now. And it's appalling. But, there are lots of despicable regimes around the world, and the Americans don't attack them. I think the Americans attacked Iran when they did because Benjamin Netanyahu persuaded Donald Trump this was the moment to do it. Really? I'm sorry, I do. Really? I think he persuaded him. Yeah, I really do. I really believe.
I honestly expect you, Piers.
Let me finish my point. I believe, as we read in the New York Times 2 months ago, in a very detailed analysis of what happened, that Netanyahu and the head of Mossad laid out a chain of events which they believed was perfectly achievable, and Donald Trump signed up to it. I'm not saying he didn't in the end make his own decision for the United States. I'm just saying he believed Benjamin Netanyahu when he said, if you do this, then all this will follow. And it hasn't turned out that way, and that's why Trump wants out, but Benjamin Netanyahu wants to finish the job. And that is where we now are, I believe. Now, there will be people who, even as I say that, Jonathan, will be screaming, well, yes, because you're anti-Semitic. No, I'm not.
No,
I'm
I'm
really
not going to say that yet.
I just know what I see with my own eyes.
You know, I wish, as an Israeli citizen, not, speaking about whether I support this prime minister or not, doesn't matter. He's my prime minister. I just wish that Israel was had the tenth of the power and influence over global events that we are accredited to in international media, especially the New York Times. And I wish that we had that influence over decision making in the world. Sadly, that isn't the case. And I think it's been proven and demonstrated time and time again by decisions made by this American president, who undoubtedly is a great friend of Israel, but he's made lots of decisions that don't go well with Israel. The situation in Gaza isn't good for Israel. The situation in Lebanon, as it is now, where the Iranian regime allegedly is allowed to link between the two countries, Hezbollah, their protege, and the situation in Iran, that's not a good situation for Israel. Trump's deal with the Houthis a year and a half ago, where he directly bypassed Israel and made a deal with the Houthis to claim that Israel has some kind of magic influence. It's a very, very tired kind of dog whistle kind of a thing to be saying, and it's just so untrue. The US, I believe, did this because it serves American purposes of being the strongest country in the world, power competition with China, of having a stronger influence in the Middle East, and for the president to show capacity to take on enemies and adversaries and do it well. Granted, the situation on the ground isn't positive in that sense, and there's definitely the results are less positive than what we would have wanted. Final word, I'll say this. You before you claimed things about Israel, on October 7, there were no Israeli troops in any of the places that you just said. Why are there Israeli troops in Gaza? Because Hamas, an Iranian proxy, invaded us on October 7. Why are there Israeli troops in Lebanon? Because Hezbollah, another Iranian proxy, attacked Israel and has been attacking Israel relentlessly since October 8th, and they haven't stopped for a single day. Why are there Israeli troops in Syria? Because jihadists on the other side are saying, we want to invade Israel and do what Hamas did on October 7. So there's very good, down-to-earth, logical reasons for Israel to need to defend ourselves. And I assure you, we don't want to send our troops to faraway borders. I have kids in the military as well, and it's very personal and real world for us here in Israel. But the bottom line is, war in the Middle East will end once our enemies understand that they cannot defeat us and they should stop trying. Until then, we will continue to defend ourselves, and it'll take as long as it takes, and a lot of people may dislike it. But just like we said about the Iranian people, eventually the Iranian people will be free from this Islamist oppression, and eventually, hopefully, inshallah, God willing, one day there will also be peace between Israel and our neighbors.
This wasn't just a debate about Iran. It was a debate about whether military pressure can fundamentally change a regime or whether it simply creates new problems. After watching the entire exchange, which side do you think made the stronger argument? Conricus and Ghamari or Piers and Wajahat? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed these conversations, make sure you're subscribed to Stand Tall Israel, and please consider becoming a member to be first to watch our new videos.